Hello. I hope everybody's doing great. Um, this is another video for our art class, Art with Antonio. So, what we're going to do, I have all these ideas for um, we're in winter, so some winter scenes. And this is perfectly fitting because in the past few weeks, we've been drawing with pencil shading and learning how to shade and create um, different grades of tones from dark to gray and obviously the white of the paper. So controlling that is key and using the eraser because with the eraser we learn that we can create whites, right, and use the eraser as an actual drawing tool. So I always let's start with the materials. Paper, we're gonna do two drawings this time, so this is a 2-hour video in which I'm gonna hopefully calculate to have an hour per drawing. We can do this. Large paper, because it's a winter scene, you'll see that most of the imagery will have white for the snow, and the paper is white. So we don't have to put too much. We will have obviously drawing, pencil, graphite, but there's a lot of white because the snow is white and it's a winter scene. Um, and it's good to have a big piece of paper because that way you could shade and control more the grades of different tones. When you work small to do that shading, you have less space to do the gradually changes into tone. We've done indoors in a living room, we've done countrysides, we've done spooky night roads with fences and trees and roads and skies and moon. But this time, it could be the moon, it could be the sun, but it's a winter scene. Okay, so get your paper. I recommend, please, obviously, it's two drawings, so have two pieces of paper, um, pencil, and I also recommend pencils with a good eraser and also sharpen, very well sharpened, um, and get like two minimum. Get two or three or four pencils, um, but two minimum because this allows you to put down the pencil that's losing sharpness and grab the other one that's already sharp. That way you don't have to constantly be sharpening. You could just get on the mood, you're drawing, and you don't have to stop because you're inspired. You feel inspired, and you could continue drawing. Okay, so I have my pencils here. Let me show you the height of them. They're pretty long, so they're the fact of keeping a pencil long, as they become shortened for use, is so you can handle it better. So as the pencil gets shorter, try to find another pencil. They sell, I don't know why it's so expensive, but they sell this little thing that you could put a pencil in and it makes the pencil become longer. I'll show you in a future video. But yeah, let's get started. Okay. So we have our paper horizontally. um, we have our pencils with erasers, so you can see, and our pencil sharpener, right? Although I have another pencil sharpener. Um, okay. Let's let's get started. So the first one, we're going to kind of look where the middle is of the paper. Okay, don't fold the paper. I want you to try to do this on your own with your eye. Okay, try to find the middle. Doesn't have to be perfect. And instead of creating a straight line right in the middle, we're gonna create a semicircle like this. You see, and use the side of your pencil. And create a very thick and soft. Okay, and now build it in the middle on the body of the circle. You see, and this is when now we're gonna start to shade down and make it vanish into the white of the paper. Okay, ready? So down here we go down, down, and make it lighter, lighter, lighter until it disappears. Look. See? Okay. Okay. Um, if it's a little blurry, let's see. With the light, I really want to make sure that you guys see how soft. My paper may be a little texture. Um, okay, that's why it creates that pattern. But you see how it's softened, and it will be even softer if I use my finger. Okay, down here especially right where the paper, sorry, the white of the paper meets the pencil right here at this lower part. Right here, I can make it really vanish. Down here. Okay. It's hard to catch on the video, but it's very subtle. The change from gray to the white of the paper. Okay, so in this mountain, because this is a mountain, we're gonna put. We're some of us already did this drawing. Doing it again um, will make us do it better. So I'm gonna do little uh, uh, trunks going up like this. You see, a couple, and make sure they're random and different heights, not too high, but some of them will be closer. You see, some of them will be farther away, but try to keep the same gray tone. Okay, this is very important. The same gray light tone that the mountain has. You see how I'm not putting them all together? I hope you can see that. Randomly placing three together, two close by, one smaller, one higher. Okay. Now I'm going to dress them. Yeah. Do put some leaves on them by making the bottom wider. It's like a triangle, and coming up thinner. Look, there you go. That's a pine tree. You see how small? Remember, the bottom is thicker and it goes up into like a little triangle shape. So all of them will be like that because they're all um, pine trees. So they lose now the sticky sense. Okay, you see? But keep it the same gray, okay? It's all the same tone because it's all going in the midst of the vision that this is very far away. This is a group of trees, so it's going to be very busy here, but that doesn't make it darker. You see, I made it a little darker. I shouldn't have. It should all be the same tone, very light. And I really want you with these drawings to control your sense of tones of what is darker, what is lighter, okay? And in this drawing, we have to do the majority of the things lighter because they are, um, you see, farther away. Look how that looks. Remember, my paper has texture, but they look like pine trees because they have that triangular um, shape. I mean, okay? They're far into the cliff or mountain. And now, halfway through the mountain and the bottom of my paper, I'm going to draw a straight line, kind of like the way we did the mountain. Um, okay. Straight right in the middle between this and this. So what this will create is the ground. Okay. You see how it's a little darker here? So I could erase now right above it. Oops. And again, very light. Okay. Excuse me. So if I erase right above this line, you see the paper becomes white, and I could go up a little and then diffuse again what was up there because I wanted to blend it in. I don't want this drastic white, but it's to create whiteness above our line that we just created because what this line represents is the ground, okay? Is the ground. All right. Okay. Now this is the ground. This is far away the mountain. And what's between them up here is a mist, which is the white that I'm erasing, that diffuses the our vision from um, what's between the mountains, right, the horizon, and the ground. Okay, perfect. Um, we're gonna do other pine trees. Very light, okay? This is gonna be above in the ground in front of the mountain, very lightly, different tones, very lightly, and then a couple of them, maybe up to the right, that are gonna be very dark because they're gonna be closer to us. And remember, a rule of perspective: something that's closer will be bigger, and something that's closer will be darker and more with more details. Okay, you can see more details when something is closer to you. This is why the trees right now back here in the mountains, we can't really define that well. We know they're trees, but we don't have to put too much detail in them. Okay. In the meantime, before we do these pines and work here in the ground, okay, um, let's shade here with our side of the pencil like a square. We've done this before, um, like a square shape like this. And make sure that when the square ends, very likely we could shade it and make it look. I could shade around the parts where the um, the shading happens with the pencil and blend it in with the rest of the paper. So now you cannot really tell where the pencil is. I mean, you can tell there's pencil right here in the middle, but as you look outside that shape, you lose the definition of the what you created here. You see, you understand? So this is what I'm trying to say. Here I'm gonna have to erase a little because it's too, you see, defined. It's my finger is, there you go. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna bring it closer. So we can agree that this part, let me show you clearly. We can agree that this part has pencil, right? You can see that. But where it ends, look, you see how the pencil disappears? Same thing on the other side. Look, there's pencil here, but as you move, it starts vanishing until there's no more and there's paper. So that's what we mean by grading gently and softly, the shading. You see the pencil, but the edges of that shape disappears. And that's what happened also at the bottom of the mountain and at the bottom of our line of the shape here. If I were to erase in this pencil shading, I will get a very clear contrast of the shape I am erasing. For example, I'm going to erase a circle, and that's going to be our sun. So, ready? See, the brighter that sun is going to look. Let me darken this a little more. The brighter that sun is going to look, the darker the shading around it is. Okay, does that make sense? So I'm going to erase it again. It's a circle. You see it? See the circle? Erase on the white. I'm going to make it bigger. It's up to you how big you want to do it, okay? You see that? See the circle? I'm going to leave it like that. I have my sun already. I have my mountain with my trees. Something I was telling the class when we were doing this. Um, Okay. Now let's do the pines. So there's gonna be pines, especially in the middle here. There's gonna be maybe, I don't know, five, six, seven, but they're gonna be very small, bigger. But the key here is the tone. It's gotta be very light because they're disappearing. This is all mist, and some of them are disappearing. So let's start slowly. Okay, very bright, very light, and you could erase and use your finger to light up this area here. Okay, so I'm gonna continue. That's probably even too dark. I know you won't be able to probably see it as I draw it because that's how light I want this pine trees to be. Okay, that's kind of dark, but it is what it is. Let's go. They are a triangle, just like the ones up there, and the branches go up a little. You see? Okay. I'm gonna do more lines, like if there are leaves, build up upon that. You see? And that's it. I want to keep it that light. You see how light that is? Can you do that? Very light, gentle. Look, that far away makes us believe that is a pine tree. There you go. See that? And the ones up here. Can we do work on that? I'm gonna make some maybe even lighter. Can we do lighter? That's lighter. Even lighter. Let's see. See how light that is? Can you even see that? Very gentle. Very gentle. Maybe one light here or two, but lighter than this one. The branches go up a little, but become smaller, okay? See that? Okay. I could make some sticks come up from the middle of the mountain, some lines going up. So it's not just at the edge. I'm making lines at the edge here of the, but very light. Did you see that? Just to kind of create the idea that these are trees in here and be gentle about blending them in. Okay, another couple light, maybe. And but remember, these branches that are going up, they become smaller as they go up. And another smaller one. You see how gentle and light these are? Okay. Trying to let the camera focus, but it doesn't want to. There you go. See how light that is? And the little sticks that I did up here are very subtle. So just be gentle. You don't have to go too dark. Um, we need to learn to control um, how dark we make our marks with the pencil. So this one goes up to here. Maybe there's a small one that's very. I'm gonna do a couple more, maybe 3 or 4 more. Okay. Okay. Okay, a little one more here. Just make sure. Look how many we have so far. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is 8. I know I'm gonna make 9 here. Maybe 2 more, 12 or 13. We need to feel this ground like but very subtle. This is what I want you. I'm leaving this space empty because I know this is where my 2 pines are gonna be, one next to each other, the big ones closer to us. Okay. Um, so I'm working on this one, but I'm not going too crazy on the details. Okay. You see, I'm building with lines the body of leaves inside the pine tree. Because the more defined we do something like this one, then I gotta work on making the tree looks have have the body of the leaves, which is just scribbles. This one is here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Maybe a couple more. A very light, small one here. Very small. When I say small and light, look how light that is. It's very almost non-visible. And maybe another one here. This is what is very important where you put your hand. I'm gonna bring this closer to you so you can see how light these lines are. how I keep the shape look of a triangle. You see how it's a triangle? Triangle. So the top is narrower and the bottom is wider. So they're very, very light. And that's what I want you to control. This one here, these two, maybe the darkest so far. And they do look closer. And then we have to, this is what I mean by building the body. Just getting in there and doing some lines to build the body of the leaves. Okay. So I'm not, like I said, I'm not working too much this space because there's going to be two pines and one. Let's start like not at the edge of the paper down here, but maybe about here. With the side of your pencil, bring a line up, 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 maybe up to here. Look how high it went, but it's still inside the paper. Okay. So this pine tree obviously will be closer to us. And there's going to be another one, maybe about here. Higher. So the bottom of this pine tree is very important that it's not aligned with this one. Otherwise, they both will be as the same distance from the viewer. By putting this next one higher here means it's farther away. So it's going to go up and become smaller by stopping here. You see, this one is higher, this one is smaller. Now, the bottom of our pine trees, look, will always be thicker than the top. Okay? It's what in a tree gives it stability because the bottom is grounded. Okay? So now look at the branches going up. I really want to see these trees that I made. So I'm going to try to work around when I make these branches come up in an angle like this. These ones here have to be shorter. You see? But I wanted to really kind of see these trees. It's okay. I'll make another one smaller here. But it's good that things are going over each other, okay? Um, Meaning these branches are going over this tree because that's what happens in reality. Things visually, if you go outside, they're not going to align so you can see everything in your path. Things are going to be some on top of each other, in front of each other, because that's how nature is. Okay. So I'm using the side of my pencil, and that gives me right away a certain thickness in these branches that I'm working on. Okay, let's work a little faster. I could just doodle, not doodle, like just make lines random, but keeping that triangular shape. You see, some branches will be longer than others as they come up. They don't have to be perfect. And this is our tree. You see, the body of our tree. So now all I have to do is um, build upon inside of it with leaves. Okay. Okay. um, so now I'm going to build inside the leaf. So look, it's all scribbles, okay? But you do have the branches, that you're gonna put things on top, or sorry, around it. So maybe the bottom here gets darker at some point because it has a bunch of leaves. I don't know. So you don't see much of the trunk. You see, maybe one leaf is full of things. I saw many of you being very equative, like, oh, if I put leaves here, this one is going to have leaves. If that's the type of drawing you want to do, sure. I'm trying to teach you how to make something more organic, more realistic, because in nature is random. But if you want to keep it all the same, like the branches have the same amounts of leaves and there's a pattern, go ahead. Yeah, that will be more illustrative, like a design, like a little design, and it will be cute, sure. But this tree will look more real because of the randomness. Look, this side is a little darker than the other. Maybe this branch over here is more busy than, and there's some branches here that don't have anything. You know, I keep making branches as I even fill them with leaves. I also make branches. So um, yeah, look, if something looks empty, just fill it in. You get the feeling of what you're doing. Look how random what I'm doing is, but I'm giving it a sense of kind of like, okay, so the same thing I just did for this one is going to happen to this one next to it. So I need more branches, especially on the top here, the small ones. Even though this one is filled, I have to fill this one. So now the point where they both meet visually have to be darker, like here, because there's two trees that are meeting each other, and they have to, um, you see, if something needs more darkness, then go ahead with your pencil and make a dark line, define it like the trunks I just, but make sure you put darkness where it needs to go, like all over some areas of maybe the branches, you see. Um, okay, and keep playing until you're happy with the results. Maybe up here I need more leaves. Maybe this side is a little more empty and I need to define it better. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just going with my eye. Um, okay, I think I'm happy. It's very shiny because of the light of my room, but you see, it's not supposed to shine. It's supposed to go like this. Darker. So these trees are darker because they're closer to us. So on that note, let's make some dark random lines in the ground that are intercut, especially here. So look, I need a new pencil, you see, to use the side of it. And my tree goes here, and I'm going to make more lines um, in the snow. Some are thicker, you see, thinner, maybe a ground here, a dark. And these lines become smaller and lighter as they go back in the distance. Look, what they are is like when the snow crumble up together, they create this shape. So they're like, and they create shadows or something, ground. But they have to disappear back here. Very light, you see. Back here, they should become smaller and lighter. But maybe here, there's this dark bump. I don't know. And then here, because the trees are here. They create a shadow. So I'm gonna make gray all this, like if the tree casts this shadow. Okay, very dark. The trees are casting shadow here in the ground. Maybe there's some shadow here by these lights. Okay, I can see these things that I just did maybe need to have more of a longer line to settle them in the ground. You see? Okay, they were still floating, so now they may look a little more in the ground. We could um, okay, so I'm gonna turn this to show you what I mean. You see, we have the sun up here. Um, Maybe there's a pine tree halfway. No. I'm gonna make one here closer. You see, it's darker because it's a little closer. Maybe there's another one here. But because it's coming out of the ground here, it's a little closer. Okay. So this is a video. Always rewatch it if you want. You will get access. Pause it if there's something I'm going too fast for, or pause it for you to look again and go back and really draw it again. The more you draw, like I have told you, there's artists. Every artist, even though tries, well, not tries, learns to do many things: portraits, landscapes, still lives. Um, they always choose one subject to do more than others, and they become good at portraiture, or they get good at still life, like Cézanne with his oranges and apples. But he did portraits of people, Monet too. Everybody did everything, but Monet, the majority of his works are landscapes. So there was a tree back here, very nice, very light. I cover it, but you get the idea. Here I do the ground a little for this one too. So that means I gotta define more the lines that were coming here. Okay, so you see how I'm testing the effects of how far things could be. I just did that pine tree in between this and those ones to create a little distance. And in the mountains, we um, we create the effect of the trees that are really far away. Okay. So keep shading things. They're shining, but if I put the paper to the side, lift this a little, sorry, and put the paper to the side a little more, the trees become, oop, here, darker. You see? And when you look closer, they're so subtle. Look at the sun. It's so subtle. The changes in gray. And we know it's snow because we know the paper is giving us the white in the ground. Okay. I'm going to emphasize the snow in the next drawing even more. Okay. We'll do a house, we'll do a river. And because there will be a river, you'll see in the next drawing, the river will be darker compared to the snow on the ground next to it. Look at the pines. You see, if when you look closer, it's just scribbles. But are scribbles that do fill in the space when it needs to get dark. Um, and you can see the branches are still there. You see the skeleton is still there. Okay. I'm waiting it to focus again. Sorry, but the skeleton of the come on. I wanted to focus, please. I have to bring the camera closer. There you go. It focused for a second. About here. There you go. You see the trees, how it's like scribbles? This one. And the ones far behind are very light. So that's what I want you to control. The tones, what should be dark because it's closer to us, and what shouldn't. So this is our first drawing. I'm going to sign it and put it to the side. Okay. Sign it right here on the other side. Actually, I'll hide it here in the shade of this. $11.22. I know the trees will be shining because the graphite shines in the angle of my light, but when you look at like this, then it becomes a little more defined. Okay. See. Even the sun. All right. So I'm going to put this to the side. There you go. And let's get on with the other one. This is the time if you want to sharpen your pencils. I have many pencils. I don't really need to. They're all sharpened. but I'm still going to sharpen the ones I use. I'm ready. I'm going to put this drawing. And next one. So here you could pause the video. You could continue. We got 2 hours. This is the next hour. Okay. So if you need a break, pause the video. But if you're ready to continue, we're going to continue in a row. 2-hour video, nonstop. Okay. Perfect. Pencils, pencil sharpener, paper. Let's get started. I'm not sure why the camera is like, there you go. I wanted to get the entire paper, so it's about there, right? As you get ready or wait, I'm messing a little bit with my camera to get it right, but I'm ready. Okay, so this one, like I said, will have a river, and we'll also have a house and trees. And a bridge to emphasize the river even more. Deal. But we can actually get started. All right, let's define our ground and where the river is and all that, okay? So we will think of the half of the paper. The paper is horizontally still, okay? The paper is still horizontal. You're gonna look at where half of it is. I already made up here like a, you see this little smudge here. But think of where half of your paper is. The camera may try to focus and focus and focus and focus if it's too far away. Okay. So, yes. So let's mark very likely where half of the paper is. Very likely because we're not going to use that line. We're just going to use it as reference. I'm making it darker so you can see it on on the video. I know I'm a little higher than what half is, but I'm going to have to erase it. But please do yours very lightly. Mine is dark because I want to, again, make sure that you see it. So there's going to be many little mountains or bumps because when the snow fell, they kept them piling up like in these little hills. Okay. So let's make those. Let's make little bumps in this line. So let's make one here, one bump. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna erase it later, but I was going to erase it later, but now I'm gonna erase it so you could actually see the bumps. And I know, as I erase, I do know where that line is. Okay. I do know where that line is. So it's easy for me to make those bumps because I know exactly where that line is. All right. So let's do the bumps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and a big one. Maybe 4 and a big one or 5 and a big one. So small, look, bump. 2, maybe third one big. 4, lower. And then this fifth one is going to go down. You see how I'm making them go towards the lower left? So this big one is going to go higher here. And itself is going to carry some bumps. And I'll stop here. This one went down. So you see how they're coming on top of each other? Kind of like towards the left, going up. All right. All right. So now we'll make another one. Very lightly here, light. Another replication of this one. Can you do this same line, but bring it down here towards the lower right? So look, same thing. Watch. And this comes very lightly. But it's the same thing here repeated. And this one touches the end of the paper and up here. Okay. Perfect. We're trying to create the ground where our river will go. And these are hills next to, on the side of the river, basically. Remember when we did a road and it was curved? Okay. All right. Ready for the river, where the river is going to be? Okay. Let's do the river. So another mountain will come from here, not mountain or little hill, from here, this side, okay, down here. Don't go all the way, just up to here. Not maybe that round, maybe that doesn't have to be that round. So I'm not making it round. Look, I'm trying to take away the roundness of it. You see? But try to replicate this because our river will go in between this, if that makes sense. Okay. But the straight line that I had here in the middle of the paper, we don't need a straight line because we wanted these bumps. This is very important because the snow will accumulate like that. Great. Okay. Ready to define the river? So all of these bumps have an ending because they're going to touch the river. Okay. So this one, remember the S that we did? So this will be the S. Look, the little curve. So this one here will come down in an angle like that here. Don't bring it to the bottom of the paper. Bring it to the side bottom here. Side. It's still on the side. You see, don't bring it down here. Bring it to the side. So now this is an isolated bump. You'll see how we're going to connect it, but it's so far isolated. It's like an island. And then these ones, this one ends up here. Let's see, comes down, going down in an angle up to here. This one comes down even lower, lower than this, and then comes down here. And you see how a river just came to be. Maybe this here can come in a little more. Let's see. And then this one keeps going that way and gets lost. But this is our river. Can you see it? Our river is this body. So we could actually darken it. I'm going to darken it in gray for the sake of um, being able to see it, okay? Just to see it. So this gray area, I'm just making it gray because the water. I'm distinguishing it as the river against the snow. After this, I'm going to pause for a second to make sure that you are see. You see how this is all the river? Okay. Does it make sense? And these are kind of like, so I'm pausing, I'm stopping to for you to look at this drawing and look at your drawing and try to get to this point. Okay. So I'm going to take a minute. We're still recording the video, but I want you to look how the top of this, well, not almost the top of these little hills are right through the middle of the paper. How we make these bumps, bumps, bump, 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 but we make them come down from the right down here to the left. Stop. This one too is a second, and then this one is isolated here, and then this one opposite coming from the left to the right comes in this way, and that's what creates the little curve. Um, the curve that's look designing the, you know what I mean, like that the river is curvy here. It takes a curve, so we'll have a bridge here. We'll have a house here, and then we'll fill everything behind here with different types of trees that are shaded. And we'll do again our sun, which is very easy, just like we did in the drawing right before us. Okay. The snow will be shaded, not all, just in some parts, because we need the white of the snow, and we'll erase to highlight the snow even more, you know. And we'll do some highlights in the river too, with some rocks or things, okay? All right. So take a half a minute, take a few seconds just to look and match your drawing with my drawing. And do go ahead and shade the river. because visually this will help us see the river, um, anytime you can do something to your drawing to visualize it better for your end result, go ahead. You're going to start seeing what you're planning to do. All right. Okay, we have another hour, another drawing. This is just got started. Okay, let's define our house before the bridge. So for the house, I'm going to erase a little tip, and that tip will be this here. And why is that? The house is behind this entire cliff. So I'm not going to erase this line because all of this is in front of the house. So when I do the house here, I don't want it just on top of the cliff. I want it between these two. So that's why I erase a little bit of this one. So I could put my house right here. Look. So do a straight line right there. It's not straight, but you know what I mean. All right. So the house goes from here to maybe about here because I don't want to make it too big. Now let's see if we can do not go so high. And let's see if we can work. We've done houses before. So let's see if we can do the, I'm going to make a line here closer to this one, not in the middle. But you see where I'm going for. So now, look, and it sticks out. So I went from here, here, here. This is the side. This is one side. This is the front. But we've seen it from the side. And this line, which is not straight, I'm sorry. It's not straight like perpendicular. So it should be like maybe about here like that. Is the roof. And we're going to go in an angle here. Right in the middle of the front and coming down here. Okay, make it thicker. So thicker. Thicker meaning the roof here gets thicker. Let me show you, you see. And now we go straight down and in an angle, just like this angle. Maybe this line can go lower to match this one. Okay. Two windows, two little squares here as windows. It's okay if they're touched almost the snow. And another one here, covered maybe by the snow almost. Okay. And the door here. I'm making the snow go a little higher. But that's our house. We've done a house before. Let's do a chimney to it. So just like the house is showing up two sides, one in the roof. So one, two in the roof. This will have, look, two sides in here. So in one, you see how I did three lines? So you see how this has an angle going down. So this will have an angle also going down. But here it goes straight. But the side goes in an angle, you see. Up here on the top should go straight. Okay. Maybe it shows a little bit of, and that's our chimney. So I made the side in an angle of the roof. I made the side to the left in the angle of the roof. Very important. That's our house. You know, the bridge is going to be simple and easy because the bridge, instead of making details, we'll make it dark, like the whole, the handles, the structure of the actual bridge will be all darkened. Um, okay, so let's why don't we shade a little bit the sides, just a little bit, okay, the sides of the house. So one side will obviously be darker than the other. So this is pretty shaded. I just did. Maybe the front here is more lighter. There you go. You see how it's a little lighter than the side? And then the roof will make darker, but darker with lines going across. By darker, we create lines that come across. Make sure that if you're going to do it darker, it keeps the same darkness all across. The lines, as I'm making it darker, creates like a little pattern on the roof, believe it or not. And it makes it's fun. Okay, I should darken this a little too here, but less than the rest of the roof. Okay. And the door may be very dark. Okay, we shaded our house already. See? I'm happy with it. So our bridge will be right here, and it's going to be a curved bridge. So we're going to do a semicircle from here to here. Okay, so ready? Um, one, two. Make sure it's behind the cliff. You start behind this line because that will mean that it's covered. This is in front of the bridge. So 1, 2, 3. You see how it's a semicircle? And with the side of my pencil, I'm just gonna make this darker, sorry, thicker, a little thicker. And that thickness represents the thickness of the beams, sorry, the wooden beams that create the bridge. Now we're going to create the same thing again. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing again, maybe about an inch. This is tricky because it will go over this tip here, and I don't want this to be covered. I want this to be seen so you can see where that ends. Okay, ready? I'm grabbing another pencil. With the side of my pencil, I go whoop. Actually, yes, we're good. Um, actually, you know what? As I go over it, you see how I was almost gonna go over it? No, I'm gonna go from here to this same point. Okay, can you do that for me? And I'll explain you why. So this is a thickness because that's the path we used to walk. But as it's coming around, you're gonna want to not go up here, but right at that same point here, because the bridge will mean that it's in an angle right there. So I'm gonna erase the inside of the bridge so you can see it better now. So you see what I meant? It's separated here, but as I come as I come here, look, it comes and becomes part of this line. It started separated here, but as I went up, I got closer to the same point of ending. And what that means is this distance is the distance you used to walk on the bridge. Yes, tuk. But because of the way we're looking at it, um, this other side of the path is hidden. This is all hidden. All right. So this line, as it comes all the way around, should meet this one. Not up here. Don't keep the same distance visually. It's an effect that we need to keep intact. Okay. Now we do the handles. I erase, please also erase the inside, the path of your bridge, because it's going to make it more visible. Okay. So now this is what I forgot to do earlier, but now we're going to do it. So now I go up an inch, up, straight line, a pull. I go in every point, straight line and straight line. You see, 1, 2, 3. And the other one here is a little bit, maybe half an inch right here. You see the distance, sorry, the distance between these two poles should be the same distance from these two. Okay? So now I go to the end of this pole to the end of this pole. And I should follow the same distance of to the curve. So meaning the distance from here to here should be the same distance I keep as I go around. You see, it's going to be curved too. So ready? Look. Curve, 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 curve until it touches this point. See? Same thing. This point to this point. Sorry. It curves, 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 curves until here. It's okay if the lines touch each other, whatever is happening. So now we're going to make these same lines we already created a little thicker. Can you make them thicker? What we have already done? Because what that means is that these are beams, wooden beams. Okay, perfect. There you go. Follow the pattern. The same distance here from this point to this point is the same distance here. And as I went up, I kept that distance. Look. Same thing with this one, and it touched this one. Okay, so now don't get confused. We're gonna make two more um, two more poles that are holding the handrail of the bridge. So maybe one here, the same thickness, and one here. But guess what? You need two also on the other side of the bridge. So these ones go over this wide part of the bridge because they're in front of it, but the other ones are behind that part of the bridge, okay? So you see how I make these two poles in front of this path? The other two um, have to be not in front of this, behind, like back there. Where do they go? I'll tell you where they go based on the distance. So the same distance these two have is the same distance this one should have to the next pole. So distance maybe about here. See? So the same distance these two have, this one will have with something maybe about here. And that's how you keep your bridge. Our bridge is done. I know it's hard to kind of discern, but it's there. It is there. If you want, you could create more patterns to it, like circles in it, or. But I don't want to confuse you too much. I think this is good. The river is going under it. Okay. And the river, sorry, and the bridge leads to the house. I'm gonna take a minute. You can always remember. You can always pause. You can always go back. This is a video. You could take your time. But now we're going to tackle, let's see, the trees in the back, because these are going to be very different from each other. Maybe we'll have an actual, round tree, maybe a bush, pine trees, but I'm going to show you a very simple way to do them. And then we'll do the sun maybe again up here to the upper left. So let's do the sun. We did like a square. Remember, we did a square. A shaded square that uh, I need to shade the edges of this square so it vanishes. So maybe I'm making the inside of this square a little darker, so my sun, when I erase it, can actually be very pronounced. So you see how I'm making the gray inside here darker? And now I'm going to take my finger, make sure that it's not too wet or sweaty, because that will affect the shading. And I'm going to shade around the shape of the square to make that vanish. So then the viewer cannot really discern or see when does the white paper, starts becoming the gray that it's around the sun. So basically shading gradually the whole area. So then you don't see, okay? See that? It's still very pronounced, then put more pencil. If it's very pronounced, you could add more pencil for your shading. Okay? If there's something down here you see kind of very pronounced, you can always shade. Okay? Let me raise my sun. I'm going to start very small. Look how small that is. But I'm gonna build it bigger, 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 bigger. You can make it the size that you wish, but I'm gonna make it maybe about this big to really emphasize it. Okay, see that? Look how the sun really pops out because there's gray around it. It's the paper. We just erase. It's the paper. That the inside of the sun is the paper, um, the white of the paper. Okay. This is already a drawing, and if we were to shade it, these mountains, shade them in gray and like put grass, then it will be like a normal scene. But the fact that these mountains are gonna stay white, then it makes us believe that it is snow. Okay. All right. Let's make our trees. So follow me here with the patterns I'm gonna do. Very light, very light, and very light. We're gonna maybe do something coming up, just coming up like this with the side of your pencil. Just a stick. Look, the bottom is thicker because I have told you that um, trees or things, right, are tend to be thicker at the bottom to ground themselves. So maybe another one here up to there with the bottom thicker. So this could be like a bush that has that shape. I don't know. They go up. Look, I did three. Maybe another one next to this one. I don't know. Up to here. Okay, that's one shape. Another shape is, watch me here. I'm going to shade in zigzagging, but the shape I'm going to do is the shape of an oval, like a diamond. Okay, ready? I'm going to do one here. So look, thin, thick, and I go thin again. And it looks kind of like a tree far away. But I'm shading back. But this may be behind the house and it's halfway through. So shading, thick, and it stops there. Maybe that's a tree. So let's do a couple of those shapes. Maybe this one is gonna have, it's gonna be round. This one will be round. Look, like a ball. See, it's round. I'll do another one maybe here so you can see what I mean. You see how it's round? Maybe this next one is like coming out like this bunch, this bunch, this bunch, this bunch on the side, and this bunch on the side, coming to the center. Again, I'm gonna do it smaller here. So it's a bunch on the other side, a bunch in the middle, another bunch here to the side, and another bunch on this side. It's like a leaf, like a oak tree leaf. But you see these random, very, very, they're darker than the background that they are. But let's do a few more in different tones. So maybe this one will be lighter. Maybe this one will be very, very light. Look how light that is. But it's some mass of gray. Maybe another one here, coming all the way down, more defined in the top. Maybe there's another one here, lighter, behind this. I'm gonna darken the pole so you can see it still. But back here is something light right now. Okay, I'm gonna stop here, or maybe make some of this darker to make one behind here lighter. But the one in front, look, I'm making it darker, okay? So you can see it. Okay, perfect. So now in some of this, follow me here. You see how, let me show you a close up. You see how they're those shapes, but they're barely defined. And I make sure to move my pencil back and forward, creating those lines like that. So this is what we're doing, or we're going to do. If I did this for one of them, Okay. Now with the pencil, inside of that, you're going to create a tree and branch out. Remember? So look, go up and then branch out. Remember the branches? And now you have a tree. This is a tree. I know we're not going over, but it's so far and light that we just want to define the trunk and the branches now. That's all. We have the body. Now we want to define on some of them the body of the trunk and the leaves. Ready? So I'm going to bring this closer so you can see what is it going to look like. Hopefully focus right there. But when I put my hand, maybe not. Okay. There we go. So this one, let's start with this one. Look, I'm going to do from the bottom, a line up, branch, branch, branch. Look how that's a tree now. This one, coming up, branch, branch, branch. Up. See? Let's try these ones that are the branches come out in that space. If something was very light, do your branches light too. You know, don't do something too dark where you actually did something light. So if something was done light, keep the branches and the tree trunk light, you know. So finish this one, this one. You get the idea. This one back here is going to be very light. This one light. You see that? And maybe some gray. I need to shade this a little, make it disappear a little more. The grade of the sun. Perfect. Maybe some bushes here on the ground come up, round. I don't know. And look, maybe some come up in lines sticking out. Can you do that? I'm just trying to darken stuff here. Make it more organic back here. You see, like it looks like. Let's do some of those. So, look, it consists of lines sticking out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. So these are like little bushes or plants coming out of here. Maybe let's do a big one here. So 1 leaf, 2, 3, 4, 5. You see? And it's dark in the middle. Okay, maybe there's one here at the edge of the river. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Another one here. Can you do those? Maybe one is really thick and has dark lines next to it. Okay. You see how it's starting to come alive a little? We're going to shade a little bit the actual mountains of snow, okay? So don't worry. And we could always go back and erase if we feel something got a little dirty. But the trees back here, as I told you, make sure you grade the areas overall because there's a little more trees. That means that there's a little more trees back here. But you got the idea of, look, branches coming out on top of the shape of what you were doing, okay? That's the good thing about using the side of your pencil. It gets a little less defined. Perfect. Okay. So there could be, look, darker, a little grayish. This hill could be a little grayish compared to the other one. In front of the other one, I mean, sorry. Okay. Get a sharpened pencil, very sharp. Okay. We're going to do a pattern we've done before for the chimney. All right. The chimney is going to get a few lines with a sharpened pencil. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And those lines need to also, if you did them straight on the side facing you, you see the side facing us, they're straight. They're going to follow this angle. You see how they are in an angle? They connect here in an angle. So until they disappear on the top. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You see? They disappear. So the same line kind of went in an angle on the side. You see? I made it disappear. It's okay. But now, remember the brick pattern? Can you do some of those if possible? Oops. I already made a mistake in the pattern. I'll show you the pattern in a moment. To make the chimney be like a brick. Okay. You see? Looks like it's made out of brick. So the way I did that, look at it carefully. And look at the trees too. You see how the dark trunk and branches are in front of the shape that we did by moving our pencil, shading, creating the shape. Okay. So the pattern of the bricks are like when you create the lines. See? So if you have a brick here, a set of bricks, the next row is not going to line up with it. It's going to go right through the middle of this one, right through the middle of this one, right through. Now the next row follows the one on top. See? Not this one, this one. Does that make sense? So these two rows, you see, match, but the one in between doesn't. The bricks cannot line up. This row disrupt the one in between. So every other row is the same, but the row right next to it should go through the middle of the other brick. So the next row here should go here, 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 you know? You get the idea? And that will be a brick wall. So that's what we did with the chimney to make it pretend that it's made out of bricks. Great. Again, pause that part if you need to pause it. I'm darkening this side. I'm going to do it with the others. So this actually emphasizes that what's in front of here, this mountain of snow is in front of the one behind here. Same thing, this one is in front of the one back here. This one is a little in front. Maybe from down here it comes up and it's not finished. Not everything has to like finish. Okay, perfect. So we need to really emphasize that when the snow touches the water, there's some jagged edge, jagged that is really dark. Okay, the water is dark, but it's not as dark as where they meet here. Look, we're going to emphasize this as really dark. Okay, can we do that? Right here. Now let's do horizontal lines that are dark, going across flat in the river. So random. So look, some are darker, some are go all across, some don't. You see, but keep it horizontal, just like the paper. See, some are darker. You see, but they need to be horizontal. Sorry, yeah, horizontal. Can you do that? Now we're going to emphasize white lines. White lines. So those were dark. Now let's make a few very, just the same thing with the eraser. Try to get an eraser that's, it's a little less use. So now we're going to create white lines and erase some things in the water. And that creates highlights. Look, some highlights in the water. Maybe you want to create more gray. Okay. Okay. And go by your ear, just watch your river and see if you like it. What needs to be erase more. The thing as an artist is you need to get the skill of judging your work. That's how we know if what we're doing looks okay, doesn't look okay. I'm shading a few gray areas here. Just it's like the snow is white, but it's not that white. There's there's gray and patterns on the ground. So that's what this means. Okay. Maybe this window will be dark, and this one, the person in this room turn on the light, so this window will be brighter. Okay, so just like we did this plan here with things coming out like that, we'll do one here, and it's a bunch of leaves coming out like this. You see? Okay. And then we'll set it down because it's floating in the air. You see how it's like a bunch of curved lines going up, not that. It's like a plant growing out of the ground, but we need to ground it in the ground. So to do that, we'll shade this around it in the bottom. You see, in the brown. That will set it down. You see how the drawing is taking life? We have maybe about 10 more minutes. And again, if it's out of focus, I'll make sure that it gets in on focus. Um, okay, maybe this trunk here is too empty, so I'm gonna put some branches in it. I'm gonna put some branches on this one too. You could do some birds in the air here if you want. But you see how now the river, actually, you know what? Let's darken this end of the river here because it's far away. So darken this a little more and under the bridge a little maybe, because that will mean this that part of the bridge of the water, sorry, is kind of dark. Perfect. Um, we could have put maybe a rock here, and the water goes around it. You know, so this is water that goes around this rock. And you could erase more of the river. You know, the river doesn't have to be this dark. Yeah, I'm gonna have to make the river a little more brighter, but not back here because I just told you to erase some in here. But I'll erase, but not around the rock. See, that's a rock right there. I'll have to. Oh yeah, yeah. Sorry. So this one that's isolated here. So this we need to put some shading to, some gray. Look, but be careful with your hand when you move around here. But you see how I'm grading this a little more? Just put some gray pencil, randomly here, because then that area doesn't, it's not that white, extremely white. You see that? It's just to break apart that is so white, this here. So perfect. So same thing with this one. Look how this to my bottom left, how this chunk or island is so white, like the paper. So just like here, we put some gray pencil. We'll put some gray pencil marks here too, like that, and it dirties the whiteness of the paper that the paper is leaving. And we're gonna do a pine tree. So just one coming from the middle here. Ready? Side of our pencil, sharpened pencil, so you could get a lot of surface from the middle of it down here, up, 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 up to here maybe. That's gonna be our pine tree. Remember, the bottom of the pine tree is thick because it's how it's grounded. It is, oops, sorry, it stays to the ground. And now the branches go up. And up here, let's start up here. Up here, they're very small and short. And they start to grow. It's okay if they're going over parts of the drawing you didn't want to cover. It's okay. It's the tree, and the tree is there, and nature puts it there, and you have to just go along. When you use a sharpened pencil, you actually get a little darker marks, right? Because you get that sharp edge of the point, even if you use it sideways. So now I'm building darkness, just like the pine trees that we did in this drawing. You see, but there were squiggles. There were random, sorry, lines. Come on, please focus. There you go. Right there. You see how there's squiggly lines to create the body? So that's what we're gonna do with this drawing. Okay. This is a very rich 1 hour drawing. So if I went too fast, I apologize. But all we have to do now is sign it maybe here. But before that, fill the leaves of this pine tree, which again, the bottom is richer, or more rich and built, because just like a triangle, it builds from down here going up. And as you go up here, you could probably skip some branches. Um, and it does happens in nature where they don't have that many leaves. There could be some size or part of this pine tree that are more that have more more leaves and body, so we'll make it darker. But I'm happy. I think about now, I'll ground this trunk. You see a little more shading this, but that's our. This is it. This is our. That's our pine tree. I'm gonna leave the drawing in on focus. Okay. Sign it here. 11. So I'm gonna go and show you closer. Sorry, how the trees. You see how they're lightly defined. Oops. Then the house. The rest of the trees. Just look at their shapes. We started with those marks and shapes, and then we put a trunk and branches right in front of it. But they were all different. And you see how the sky starts to becoming gray, and that's where we erase our sun. That's our sun by erasing inside the shaded gray. I'm going to pull back so you can see the sun and the trees together. This is the house entirely. See? This is our bridge. It's going to get in focus right there. So that's the bridge. The river has dark marks, and it's very important to make those dark marks in the river, especially at the edge of the river to the mountain, sorry, or the hill that has the snow, because it makes the snow be wider. It makes it makes a distinction that the river is something darker because it has water. And sorry, if I move it wrong, it's because it's not mirror. So when I go up, it's down, and when I go down, it's up. So here I have to go. There you go. So let me get it on focus, and you see what I'm talking about. And then I'm going to show you the plant here in the corner, right? It's just these curvy lines pretending to go like a plant growing from the ground. There's a few here next to the house too. And then do you see the gray, random gray in the hill of the snow? We need this, all this gray. Don't do too much because you still need the white of the paper. But that gray, dark, dirt is the snow white, the white snow. Dirtier makes it like more, more realistic because it cannot be pure white like the paper. So all this gray here, let me get it on focus right there. All this gray here darkens the white of the snow a little. And obviously we have this very strong line defining that this here is in front of that back there. Okay, and I'm going to show you the pine tree. To our left, and how the shape is a trunk. I'm going to say this again, pay attention. The shape is a trunk going up. The branches go up a little, but more to the side. Let's get it on focus. And then the way I build the leaves inside of it literally are squiggles of lines. But where I emphasize the darkness of the squiggle lines is to just create a body. I don't want to leave my tree too empty. It's okay to do that up here. You see these branches are probably empty from leaves. It's okay to do that up here. But down here, you can't do that. You have to really put dark lines because that's what builds the leaves, the body of the leaves. And if something has to be just a dark blob, sorry, a dark real blob of lines, that's okay. That's okay because um, that's what happens with the pine trees in nature. They in the bottom and in the middle of the trunk, they have a really rich chunk of leaves. Okay, I'm going to tilt it a little bit to the side because then the light doesn't shine as much. And this is the second drawing. I'll show you the first one we did in these 2 hours. And you got two drawings of winter scenes. I'm going to make another video of two more. Um, and that's how we start December then. Winter. This is a really nice, more complete one. So this is one. Let me see how far my camera can get back. So this is one. Don't worry, I'll clear my pencils up the way. This is one. Look at all the eraser that's in my table. Hopefully both can get next to each other. So this is one, the second one, and this was the first one. Give me 1 second. So this goes here. And the second one can go right about there. They're not entirely in the entire image, but you can see them. There you go. Gonna pull back a little more and leave it here so you could pause maybe. I don't know if you want to pause. But both drawings are on the same shot. I'm sorry. You see? So let's go over very quickly. So, and I'm sorry, the shininess of this one, you see, I'm going to tilt it to the side a little bit so you can see and don't see the shiny of the graphite. But very important on the first one, these pine trees, these two, really create the effect that they're closer to us and there's a distance between them and the ones back here because the ones back there are lighter. And everything kind of light up back here. Even the mountain is very subtle. We need to control the tones, how we create tones with our pencil. Tones meaning lighter, darker, lighter, darker, lighter trees, and this works lighter because even back behind these trees is even lighter than up here. Okay, we raise the sun, which is bright, is the paper on top of something that is gray but is very light too. Same thing with this one. We see the sun, but it's because it's very light, this gray. Okay, so yeah, if I tilt this, to the side, then that trick, you see, doesn't become that shiny and it becomes dark. Same thing with this one. If I tilt it to the side, there you go. So thank you. This makes a video of our 2 hour, two drawings, 1 hour each drawing. You could have done both. You could have done one, take a break, watch the video again. Maybe you did both and you want to do them again. So watch the video again and do it a second time, and more likely, for sure, they'll get better. Okay, so keep drawing even in your free time. Use these practices. We have combined many things to create perspective. um yeah, just with a simple 2B yellow regular pencil. Stay safe. See you in the next one.